two rules, and we need to remember that. Okay, so rule one, and I'm just talking for addition now. All right, so there are two rules. So rule one is when I'm adding numbers that have the same sign. All right, same sign. Either they are both negative, like this example, or they can be both positive. Okay, something like 3 plus 2. These two numbers are both positive, but in this case here, these two numbers are both negative. So the rule for adding them, now here, you guys been doing it since first grade or second grade. You know how to add numbers. So positive numbers, 3 plus 2 is 5. Okay, a little bit tricky when it comes to negative numbers. So let's learn this rule one. When adding numbers that have the same sign, what do we do? Well, it's quite simple. When adding numbers that have the same sign, we are going to add them. Forget about the sign and add them. And just keep the sign. What does that mean, keep the sign? Well, if they were both negative numbers, like in this case here, they are both negative numbers, and I add them, I'm going to keep the negative sign. If they are both positive numbers, like the example I just showed, 3 and 5 are both positive, when I add them, I'm going to keep the positive sign. Okay, so rule one says, when adding numbers with the same sign, easy, add them, forget about the sign and just add them, and keep the sign. Okay, so let's do an example of that. This is rule one. For same sign, adding numbers with same sign. Here's an example here. Let's try this example first. And let me erase this stuff. So we got -1 plus -2. So a -1 and a -2, between them is an addition. So I know this is an addition, and I'm going to look to my numbers I'm adding. Do they have the same sign? Yeah, the first one is negative, -1. Second one is negative, -2. So let me go to my rule. The rule says if you have numbers with the same sign, add them and keep the sign. So I'm going to go, forget about the sign, I'm just going to add them. 1 plus 2 is 3. And since they were both negative, the second part says keep that sign. If they were both negative, just keep it. Okay, so the answer is -3. All right, not too bad. Okay, one more. So you guys pause this video and do this question here. All right, pause the video. Wait a couple of seconds, try it out, and follow the rule. First thing you check, do they have the same sign? And what do you do? Add them and keep the sign. Okay, all right. There you go. All right, we're back. We pause the video. How did you do? What did you get? What's the answer? Let's check. All right, so here we go. I'm going to look at this question here, and I see -3 and a -6. And between them, there's an addition. So this is adding numbers, two numbers that have the same sign. Let me go back to my rule. Rule one says, if it's the same sign, add them and keep the sign. So I'm going to add the 3 and the 6. Forget about the sign. Just add the actual numbers. Forget about the sign next to them. 3 and 6 is 9. And it says, keep the sign. If they are the same sign, keep it. Well, they're both negative, so this is a -9. Okay? That's not too bad, right? Okay, so we covered how we deal with numbers that have the same sign. We're going to add them and keep the sign, same sign. Let's look at numbers that have different sign, okay? An example of this is this first example here. You got the 3 here plus the -2. The 3, okay, so a little tip. If you want to know if a number is positive or negative, you look immediately to the left. So the 3 to the left, there's nothing there. We know that to be positive. When it's positive, we don't write anything there. We don't label it. On the other hand, the 2 right next to it, there's a negative sign. That tells me that's a negative number. So the 3 is positive, and the 2 is negative. Okay, so these two numbers have different signs, and between them I'll look and see what the operation is. All right, so between them, am I adding or subtracting? Well, in this case, it's addition, right? So see the plus right here between them. So that's addition of numbers that have different signs. The first one is positive, the second one is negative. So that brings us to rule number 2. And I'll put it here. Rule number 2 is simply for different signs. When numbers have different signs. Okay, so since rule 1, we add them, guess what? Rule 2 is going to be the opposite of that. Rule 2 will be to subtract them. So, I'm sorry, I wrote rule 1. So rule 2 is subtract those two numbers. Okay. Now the question is, which sign do I keep? Do I keep the positive sign or the negative sign, since they have different signs? Okay. When they have the same sign, there was no question there. They both have the same sign, we'll just keep it. And when they have different sign, we got a problem. I don't know which one to keep. Do I keep the positive or the negative? So here's the rule. It says subtract them and keep the sign of the number with the bigger absolute value. Okay, of the number with the large absolute value, with larger absolute value. Well, if you're not sure what absolute value means, it's just how far you are from 0 on a number line. So if I was to have a number line and 0 is here, and I got the 3, 1, 2, 3 is here, and negative 2 is to the other side, negative 1, negative 2. Now I'm going to look at them and see which one is further away from 0. Okay, which one is further away from 0? The 3, 0 is here. The 3 is 1, 2, 3 units from 0, 3 spaces. The negative 2 is 2 units from 0. So which one is further away from 0? That's the 3. So we're going to keep the sign of the 3 because it's further away from 0. Okay, so let me just erase this so there's not too much written here that's going to confuse you guys, but I'm going to make it even simpler to decide which one has the bigger absolute value. And how we're going to do that is we're just going to look at the number and forget about the sign. So looking at the 3 and forget about that it's a positive 3. Looking at the 2 and forget about the negative. We got 3 and 2. Which number is bigger? The 3. So we're going to keep the sign of the 3. Okay. We're going to keep the sign of the 3, and it's a positive sign. All right. So now we know the rule. The rule says if you have numbers that have different sign, we're going to subtract them and keep the sign of the bigger number. Forget about the sign, look at the number. Which one is bigger? So here, 3 is positive. The 2 to the left is a negative 2. So I'm going to call on rule 2 for different signs. So it says subtract. What's 3 minus 2? Well, that's 1. And which sign I'm going to keep? Look at these two numbers. Forget about the sign. I got a 3 and a 2. The 3 is bigger than the 2. A 3 is positive, so this is positive 1. So the answer is positive 1. We usually don't write the positive next to it. We just write it as 1. Okay? All right. So rule 1, same sign, we add. Rule 2, different signs, we subtract. Okay? All right. So let's do a little practice. I think you guys are going to get it. I think you guys are amazing. You're going to do it. You're going to do it. I believe in you. Let me erase everything here. We're going to do it faster, okay? So let's practice this next 2 questions. So I want you guys to pause the video. Pause the video and try the next 2. Try this one and this one. And the question you're asking yourself, do they have the same sign? Do they have a different sign? All right, I'll wait. Okay, that was 30 seconds, 1 minute, 5 minutes. All right, so I'm going to look here, the first question here. 3 to the left is negative. 6 immediately to the left is also negative. So these two have the same sign, so I call on rule 1 that says to add them. Add. Okay, so 3 plus 6 is 9, and it says keep sign. Keep the sign, right? So 3 plus 6 is 9, and it's negative 9, okay? So that's for same sign. Okay, here is different sign. We have the 6 to the left is negative 6. The 2 to the left is positive 2. And you can see there's nothing next to the 2. We know that as being positive. And the plus between them, that tells you it's an addition. So since they are different signs, the rule says, hey, go ahead and subtract. Forget about the sign, subtract. What's 6 minus 2? Well, that's 4. Now forget about the sign and look at the numbers. You got a 6 and a 2. Which one is bigger? Well, the 6 is bigger. That means it has a bigger absolute value. So we're going to keep the sign of the 6. So since the 6 is negative, so this is negative 4. Okay. All right. All right. I think you guys are going to do amazing on this. All right. All right. So that's it. That's how you add numbers with same sign and different sign. Okay. And the next lesson or video, we're going to use some fractions and so on and decimals and all that fun stuff. All right. You guys practice. Okay. The rules are simple, but for you to remember them, just practice. Do a few more